Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're sinking our teeth into the highly anticipated sixth installment of Ana Huang's hit Kings of Sin series, King of Gluttony. Now, if you've been following Ana's work, you know we have been building up to this particular couple for a good long while now. The source material we're looking at today gives us this fantastic, comprehensive breakdown of exactly what makes this book tick. Everything from the intense character dynamics to, honestly, the mouth-watering culinary themes. Okay, let's dive right into this because here is the central paradox we're going to unpack today. The reviewer we're following experienced some serious pull-your-hair-out frustrations in the later chapters of this book. We are talking convoluted mysteries, totally unnecessary corporate sabotage, and just heavy family drama. And yet, they ultimately stamped it with a glowing, perfect 5-star rating. I mean, how does a book pull that off? How exactly does a romance survive such a messy plot? Well, let's find out. Section 1. Welcome to the banquet, meeting the characters. So, let's open the book on the long-awaited story of Sebastian and Maya. Now, these two have a truly fascinating dynamic. Their families are incredibly close. They're basically best friends, running in the exact same ultra-rich circles. But Sebastian and Maya themselves? Oh, they have grown up constantly at odds. They went to the exact same schools and spent their entire childhoods just fiercely competing to one-up each other at every single turn. And honestly, when you look at them, you can see exactly why they clash. Maya is the marketing director for her family's highly successful frozen food empire, the Sink Company. She's incredibly hardworking and constantly feels like she has to push herself to the absolute limit just to prove herself. Meanwhile, over on the other side, Sebastian's family owns a string of Michelin star restaurants, and he's got a culinary school background stacked on top of a business degree. For Sebastian, success just seems effortless. He just shows up and he's the best. Maya naturally hates this. But their entire dynamic gets completely upended when their fathers basically corner them at a joint family dinner and force them to collaborate. The dads want the Sink Company to launch a high-end, designer line of frozen foods using Sebastian's elite recipes. Neither of them wants this at all. But suddenly, they're stuck working side by side. Section 2. A recipe for romance, from rivals to lovers. The author absolutely stacks the deck here with fan-favorite tropes. We've got rivals to lovers, childhood enemies, forced proximity, mutual respect, and some serious secret pining. Because they have known each other literally forever, the story gets to completely skip that awkward getting-to-know-you phase. They already know exactly how to push each other's buttons. But beneath all that rivalry, there is a deep, underlying base level of respect. See, Sebastian competes with Maya because he genuinely believes she's the best. He trusts her competence completely. If she proposes a marketing plan, he doesn't even bother double-checking her work because he just knows she's brilliant. But you know, the book isn't just billionaires and high-stakes boardrooms. It actually really grounds itself in everyday reality. For example, Maya's traditional Indian mother is absolutely desperate for her to get married, especially since her sisters are all settled down. So she forces Maya on these terrible, terrible blind dates. The reviewer shared this hilarious, highly relatable moment from the book where Maya is on a date with a guy who literally only talks about himself the entire time without asking her a single question in return. It adds this fantastic layer of humor and everyday frustration that just makes Maya so easy to root for, even amidst all that extravagant wealth. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer poetry of Sebastian's internal monologue. Let's just slow down and take a second to read this. I love you fully, inexplicably, and painfully. I've loved you in silence through the turbulence of the years and in the margins of our rivalry. Wow. Just wow. The reviewer notes that Sebastian is the absolute blueprint of a perfect pining hero. His love isn't just based on physical attraction. He loves her mind. He loves how they are equals. He's been harboring these intense, agonizing feelings for years, just quietly waiting in the margins. Section 3. The sights and sounds, pacing and audio. You know, a lot of modern romances try to cram an entire enemies to lovers arc into a single month, but not here. This story actually breathes over the course of more than a full year. We go from their initial forced collaboration to these really quiet, intimate moments, like accidentally falling asleep together while working late, all the way to the massive slow burn payoff. Taking a whole year makes the eventual happily ever after feel deeply earned and just incredibly believable. So, the crucial point is, if you are an audiobook fan, you are in for an absolute treat. The audiobook uses a duet narration that vastly elevates the whole reading experience. Sunila Nankani voices Maya, bringing this wonderful authenticity to her Indian cultural representation. And Connor Craze voices Sebastian, completely nailing this delicious, subtle French accent that perfectly fits Sebastian's background, since his dad is French. The reviewer noted it was absolutely fantastic to listen to while tandem reading. Section 4. Too many cooks? Structural flaws. Remember that paradox we introduced at the very beginning of this explainer? Well, here is exactly where it stems from. Right around the 60% mark, the story hits a major narrative speed bump. Out of nowhere, there's this mysterious listeria outbreak at one of the sink company factories. Maya suspects sabotage, and the plot just gets incredibly bogged down. There are like 3 or 4 different mysteries the book suddenly wants to solve, a bunch of romantic suspense, and messy family drama. According to the review, it takes up a huge chunk of the back half, pulling focus away from the couple right when the reader really just wants to spend time with them.
And this brilliantly illustrates the reviewer's ultimate predicament. The first half of the book is an absolute, unquestionable 5 stars. I mean, it's character-driven, the banter is completely off the charts, and the romantic tension is just perfect. It's so vivid it could literally be a movie. But then the second half dips to a 4.5. It becomes a bit of a slog with all those added plot points, the loss of some of that snappy banter, and suspense elements that, frankly, the reviewer just did not care about.
Section 5. The final verdict. Resolving the rating. Yet, it all comes back to a solid 5. Despite those structural flaws and the genuinely messy plot points of the second half, the sheer perfection of Maya and Sebastian as a couple absolutely saves the day. They shine so brightly that they completely eclipse the narrative missteps. The reviewer concludes that, at the end of the reading year, readers are going to remember how perfectly matched these two were, and that beautiful poetic yearning long after they've completely forgotten the convoluted sabotage plots. But before we wrap up this explainer, we have to leave you with one final lingering mystery from our source that has absolutely nothing to do with frozen foods. In the book, Maya's chapter symbol is a strawberry, which, makes perfect sense, but Sebastian's chapter symbol is a boar or a pig. Why a boar? Was there a wild boar encounter on their trip to Vermont that we somehow missed? What does it actually mean? It's a fun little puzzle that left our reviewer completely stumped. So what do you think? Why the boar? Let us know your theories, and keep seeking out those great stories. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next explainer.